So he starts talking trash about the mainstream media and how corrupt it is. And they're playing this on pretty much everywhere. And then also, wait. Yeah. And then they turn down the audio. You can't hear what he's saying. He's calling out the corruption in media. And, you know, he's deciding to endorse Trump and talk about the stuff Trump's got going on the last 2 weeks. Which clip is this you got here, Rob?
This is where Bobby Kennedy is criticizing both the DNC and the media for covering up the DNC's corruption. And then CNN cuts away from it.
Go ahead and play the clip.
On their capacity to go toe-to-toe with any opponent in the battle over ideas. They would be astonished to learn of a Democratic Party presidential nominee who, like Vice President Harris, has not appeared in a single interview or an unscripted encounter with voters for 35 days.
We've been listening to independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. from Phoenix outlining what led him to his quixotic quest for the White House to now dropping out.
The moment he's about to criticize
relinquishing the title of
Kamala, they do this. And but first of all, what do you think about his message and what he just talked about?
In this particular clip?
Just all of it, everything, because it was 45 minutes to an hour. It wasn't like it was a 5-minute announcement.
Yeah, it was classic Robert F. Kennedy Jr. You know, he has encyclopedic knowledge on a wide range of subjects, and he covered a great many of them. That clip is interesting, not only because of what he said. What he was effectively saying was that the presentation that we all receive is pure stagecraft, and he's right. And then to have CNN cut away, not able to engage in their usual level of stagecraft because they don't know what he's going to say is incredible. They validated exactly what it was he was describing, which was a fake world that's presented over our screens by these mega monolith corporations that decide what we get to know and when we get to know it.
Now, let me ask you. So when he did this, I tweeted it out, and Rob, I don't know if you have it or not. Here's what I said. I said Bobby Kennedy, RFK Jr. endorses Trump, well, supports Trump, and removed his name from the ballot in 10 swing states. That's a way of not hurting Trump. That's a very big move, leaving it in all the other ones. I believe this has a bigger impact on the campaign than the J.D. Vance VP pick, because I think the J.D. Vance VP pick didn't get you anything you didn't already have. It was a safe pick that you chose him. I think this is going to get the independents. This is going to get the libertarians. This is going to get some of the center-left guys. And even more than anything else, the timing of it was monumental. Why? Because it's a day after the DNC. After they had their event, they're all excited. They're all ecstatic. They're all saying all the stuff that they're saying. And I think even in one of his speeches, he said, at the RNC, the name Joe Biden was mentioned 2 times during the entire convention. But at the DNC, Trump was mentioned 400 times, not because of policies, just trashing him, whether it was from Barack, from Michelle, from Clinton's, from everybody. He says it's no longer about policies. It's just about bashing. And this is not what the old DNC was about. So how big you think, one, this is? Him stepping aside, him not being in the battlegrounds, him supporting Trump, and him trashing the Democratic Party that he left?
Well, I think this is absolutely monumental, because I think we are in a novel moment in American political history where many of us who hold different positions on the political spectrum, have different priorities with respect to policy, are finding that none of our differences matter in light of the jeopardy that the republic is in. And so what he is effectively doing here is he is saying those differences aren't going away, but they're just simply secondary. And he is both structurally, by withdrawing from certain ballots and not others, he is emboldening a movement that is more widely recognizing that those differences have to be put aside until the main job is done. And he's leaving himself an important voice in that discussion. So I was very interested in the way he navigated the idea. This was not a simple endorsement of Trump. This was an endorsement of retaking the White House and using that position to restore the republic to its proper course.
Do you have another clip here, Rob, that you prepared? Which one is this?
This is actually the clip you were just mentioning, where he mentions Biden being used throughout the convention. Trump's name.
Let's hear it.
Instead of showing us her substance and character, the DNC and its media organs engineered a surge of popularity for Vice President Harris based upon, well, nothing. No policies, no interviews, no debates, only smoke and mirrors and balloons in a highly produced Chicago circus. There in Chicago, a string of Democratic speakers mentioned Donald Trump 147 times just on the first day. Oh, who needs a policy when you have Trump to hate? In contrast, at the RNC convention, President Biden was mentioned only twice in 4 days.
That's crazy.
I do interviews every day. Instead of showing us her...
And that's 147 on the first day. Combined totals like 393 that he talks about. So, okay. So before even going into my follow-up question, prior to this announcement being made, were you in a place where you were an undecided voter, whether you're going to vote for Bobby, Kamala, or Trump? I'm talking yesterday.
Well, let's put it this way. I was not undecided with respect to what needs to happen and what the top priority is. I'm always undecided with respect to what the best use of my vote and my voice is at any given moment. I mean, it's what we call a question of opportunity cost. You have a certain number of cards to play. What's the best way to play them given where you are right now and what you know? So I'm still very much a Bobby Kennedy supporter. I think he's the right guy for the job. I have some issues in which I differ with him substantially, but overall, he's the person I want to see with the power because I think he gives us our best chance of getting where we're going. But that said, they very successfully put roadblocks in his way that made it very difficult for him to attain the office, and therefore, that does open the question of what exactly to do with my vote. So
that's why I think you're important. So a couple weeks ago, the Trump-Rogan feud, right? Hey, Rogan said good things about RFK.
Yep.
And then Trump comes back and says, I wonder what the booze you're going to get when you get to UFC. Then Rogan posts a picture with him and who was a comedian that was Trump. And
Shane Gillis.
Shane Gillis. And says, hey, we made up, we're good. And that picture goes viral. And now 2 weeks later, RFK says this. Does he having a position or endorsing Trump, does this cause a guy like you to be open to the idea of voting for Trump versus Kamala?
Oh, absolutely. Let me just be perfectly clear about this. I think the modern Democratic Party is an existential threat to the Republic. And although I am a Democrat, I've been a Democrat my whole life, the party that I see in front of me today is literally the inverse of the party I signed up for. This is now the party of war. This is the party of racism. This is the party of censorship. I don't recognize this party. There is no conceivable scenario in which I would vote for Kamala Harris. I just simply will not do it. Am I open to voting for Trump? I am. I'm especially open to it if he is partnered with Bobby Kennedy, because what that tells me is that my values, which are a much closer match for Bobby's, are represented in that administration. And that's really what I want. I want a coalition to redefine American politics because, frankly, we have a long-standing problem with corruption, which has now turned into something else with the modern Democratic Party. But we need to rethink the way we govern ourselves so that corruption is not the dominant force, and a coalition is the way we're going to do that.
Yeah. So, okay, that's important because, by the way, strategically, for somebody that's in this, he says the reason why he's supporting Trump is because of freedom of speech, free speech, no wars, and attacks on children, right? Those are some of the things he talked about on his live, that those were the things that he was interested in. Now, in your opinion, does this, take the event that happened with Musk last week, President Trump and Musk do a Twitter Spaces or X Spaces, right? 3 hours and 15 minutes, the hour break. Say Trump goes for 2 hours and 30 minutes with Musk. I listened to the whole thing beginning to the end. Gets 1 billion views. Record breaking ever. No one's ever gotten those kinds of views. Those two guys, the richest man in the world with potentially the next president of the United States, the most powerful man in the world. What has a bigger effect, actual direct effect on election on November 5th? Musk's live with Trump or Bobby stepping aside and endorsing Trump?
I wouldn't want to say what's bigger because I don't really – the events, we can argue about that and we're never really even going to know. We can guess. But what's really happening is people are learning to see the world in front of them in spite of the fact that in many ways we have a worse informational environment than we've ever had in this country. The level of propaganda and distortion is profound. But what's happening is that the citizens are finding other channels that allow them to look at least a raw version of what's there. It's noisy, it's not balanced, but it is at least honest compared to what we get in the mainstream offerings. And so Musk is playing a big role in that. Is X perfectly unbiased? It is absolutely not. I don't know what the meaning of that is. I take Musk at his word that he wants this to be a free speech platform, but that apparently is a harder process than those of us on the outside imagine. But nonetheless, we are watching voters find each other and learn how to see each other in a new way so that they can form that coalition that allows us to pull ourselves out of this nosedive.
So for those guys that are watching this, let me tell you, these USA hats, they don't stay on the shelf. Every time we launch these, they go in a heartbeat. And by the way, if you're happy about Bobby Kennedy coming out and talking about the endorsement and the support and the corruption on the DNC side, and you love America, you love USA, you may not be somebody that wants to wear some other stuff, but you want to wear a hat that says USA and future looks bright, go to the QR code or go to vtmerch.com, order the USA gear and sport it, especially between now and November 5th. These are exciting times. Again, united.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.